Germany was considered to be the Allies' main enemy in Europe during the Second World War, but it was far from being the only opponent. In addition to smaller states such as Hungary and Romania, Italy was also a participant of the Axis powers. But unlike Germany or, for example, Austria, Italy was not divided after World War II and there were no occupation zones. So after we looked at why Japan escaped partition in the last video, today we will look at why Italy was not partitioned after World War II either, even though it was one of Hitler's most important allies. Enjoy the video! Mussolini was considered a close ally of Hitler from the beginning, and so it was not a big surprise that Italy joined the war on the side of the Axis powers in June 1940. France was on the verge of falling and it looked as if Germany would soon win the war. The Italians were primarily seeking territorial gains in Africa, the Balkans and Greece. However, it became clear from the beginning that Italy had greatly overestimated itself and that its army was very ineffective compared to the German Wehrmacht. In both Albania and North Africa, the Italians suffered catastrophic defeats and they probably would not have won any victories at all without strong German support. And so the Allies also very quickly identified Italy as the Axis power's greatest weak point, and a large number of troops were prepared to fight the Italians. And the plan worked. The Allies first worked their way into North Africa piece by piece and were able to crush the Italian troops there. So Italy's North African forces surrendered as early as May 1943. And this important victory was to be the starting point for the invasion of Italy. The morale of the Italian troops was at a low point due to the continuous defeats and many did not see any real sense in the war. Thus, Operation Husky, the Allied landing on Sicily, was also a complete success. And shortly thereafter, the Allies were able to regain a foothold in mainland Europe for the first time with the conquest of southern Italy. Due to the low morale and poor equipment of the Italian troops, by now it was almost only the Germans who defended Italy. Shortly after the conquest of Sicily, Mussolini was deposed and the new Italian leadership immediately began secret armistice talks with the Allies. Thus, secret negotiations took place in Portugal and in the Vatican, where the Italians not only offered their surrender, but wanted to actively engage on the side of the Allies. And the Allies accepted this, and so Italy changed sides and declared war on its former ally Germany on October 13, 1943. And the Italian troops certainly played an important role in the reconquest of Italy, since they naturally knew their homeland better than anyone else. Nevertheless, the war in Italy lasted until May 2, 1945, when the German army in Italy surrendered. So the Italian campaign lasted almost until the end of the Second World War, which is marked by the surrender of the Wehrmacht on May 8. After the war, there were purges of Nazi Germany supporters in Italy as well, and the Allies worked to ensure that democracy prevailed. But there was no real occupation as in Germany. The Italian king was eventually deposed and the Republic of Italy was established. In 1947 there was an official peace treaty between Italy and the Allies. Italy had to surrender the conquest of the Second World War, but was allowed to keep former possessions such as South Tyrol. And it also received generous support from the United States afterwards, which allowed the country to rebuild quickly. In return, the communists were ousted from politics as the Americans viewed Italy as an important bulwark in the Cold War and wanted to prevent any influence from the Soviet Union. So in the end, we can say that Italy was lucky to be the first Axis power to be defeated by the Allies, and so switched to the side of the victories before the end of the war. Thus, after the end of the war, there was no real talk about Italy as an Axis power, since the focus was on the occupation of Germany. Moreover, the Soviet Union had no part in the conquest of Italy, which is why the system of occupation zones would not have made any real sense. The British and Americans were mostly in line, and the French also had no real part in the Italian campaign. Moreover, the Cold War led the Americans to build allies against the Soviet Union as quickly as possible, and Italy played an important role in this because of its strategic location in the Mediterranean. So if you're also interested why Japan wasn't split after World War II, I recommend you my last video. Just click here and see you there.